Okay, hello everyone. We have now Raisy, and
Hi.
yeah, hello everyone. We have a kind of interview, and I have a couple of questions to you, which I think are quite thrilling for the community of Quake Champions. And the first one is about your playstyle. There is a lot of critique about your passive gaming style, and so that you may often make a frag and then playing hide and seek. I want to mention by myself that on the last ESL, which was in Italy, I wasn't seeing that much actually this playstyle,
hmm
but still I see that there is some kind of pressure in the community. Do you feel it? How do you manage these situations? How do you manage this pressure?
Yeah, I definitely tend to play passive, sometimes overly passive nowadays. Back in the day, when I started competing in Quake Champions, I was actually known for being overly aggressive when I was playing Anarchy and Sorlag. But I had to change up that play style and adapt to the way the game changed over the last couple of months, especially since the wiser meta was a thing, because then they slowed down the game with all the changes they made. Um, Anarchy wasn't so viable anymore, so like didn't wasn't really a good pick anymore either, and everything turned into the favor of slower game style. Rushing around, having high movement speed was a thing before because hit registering was worse, so that meant that if you are fast, it is way harder to kill you just because you are not a standing still target. But since they fixed the hitbox and the hit reg and improved some of the weapons, the way they feel, the way they work, you needed to rely a lot more on having a good position instead of rushing through the hallway or whatever. So that changed my playstyle quite a lot, because the things I used to do when I was playing Anarchy and Sorlag, they no longer worked in the new meta. So I had to adapt. I had to learn how to play slower, safer, less risky, more calculated, and so my game style changed. Um, it was very hard for me to learn how to play in this new different way, because obviously my game style was very aggressive, um, and now all of a sudden I had to wait, camp around corners, walk a lot, hear my opponent out, and it wasn't as much as action packed anymore as it used to be. So everything slowed down, and then you find yourself in situations where everything is against you. Your opponent is in control. He has the weapons. He has ability active, ready to use. He has positioning. He has everything in his favor. So you cannot really do anything but to camp and wait and hope that you can eventually turn around the control. So for that, you have to just hide and play passive, and whenever you can, make some chip damage on him, and if it's possible to turn around the control, go for it. But if it's too risky, don't risk it, because you can lose because of that. So it's like some of the players are not doing it as cautiously as sometimes I do, but it is not necessarily because it's the right choice. I just feel more comfortable doing it that way. So some of the times I just go overly passive because I don't really know what to do to get more out of the situation. So I just end up doing nothing and just waiting maybe another cycle of a heavy and mega and see if maybe then I can get more out of it and deal more damage or surprise my opponent, or all of a sudden just steal the item from them and turn around the control like that. It is not easy to do when you're out of control, to turn it back. and that's why most people go overly passive. I also go overly passive when I have a frag lead, because in this game the round limit is 5 minutes and you only have to have more champions alive than your opponent if the time runs out. So it is a big factor in the game, and a lot of people plan around this tactic to use the timer for their advantage. And you know, why not? Because you can win rounds like that, and especially when you are competing, especially when it's a huge event, and if you mess up something, you're out of the tournament. You don't want that to happen to you, so you do everything you can not to lose. And sometimes it includes running away from your opponent and hiding throughout the whole round, even if you made the first frag in the first 10 seconds of the round or whatever, and you just need to run around for the rest of the round. It is not necessarily because there is no other way to win the round, but it is the safer approach some of the times. Other times, if you're overly passive, you just give away the control for free, and you don't really give yourself an opportunity to turn it back around, to have it in your favor. And that's also a mistake, because then your opponent can punish you for it. But then other times, you can play it safely, and you can just let him have all the items and just go for the plus back, spamming rockets and the safe play without risking too much. So yes, my answer is kind of long, but I guess it included most of the things that go through my head when I decide to go passive. I just don't want to risk losing because, oh, I don't want to be boring, so I do something risky, and then all of a sudden I die, and then I lose the whole situation because I was impatient, or I was too nervous what the community thinks about my play style. It's just not worth it. If I want to win, I have to play the certain ways. If it includes me hiding, then I will do that.
Okay. Actually, thank you very much for this kind of really wide answer. I am quite impressed, and actually I agree with you, because when I was giving the commentaries for your matches and the community was telling me why is he doing it, I was just kinda answering your words. So okay, the next question, well, it's kinda, you know, the question from our from the part of community that loves Defrag. Have you ever tried playing Quake 3 Defrag?
I haven't tried Quake 3 Defrag. I have tried the Quake Live Race mode, which is like way more like different. Like, it's a different way of defragging, and it is not as complex. It is not as much fun, but it is still fun. I love defragging. I come from CS, Counter-Strike, and in Counter-Strike there are various game modes that are similar to Defrag, like surfing or KZ, which means you have to get from A to B as fast as possible. It usually includes climbing up a hill or something. Point is, I love these kind of modes where you have to get from A to B as fast as possible. And so yes, in Quake Live I also tried out race mode. It is really a lot of fun. I love doing it, and also I love watching the Defrag movies, and I was watching, and I find it very entertaining when, for example, Zoot was streaming the Defrag. So I really do enjoy those things. I don't really do it, especially not the proper way. I do similar things, but I always very much enjoy all kinds of defrag and, like, you know, from A to B as fast as possible things. Like, for example, I love watching speedruns of kinds of games that I play. It is a lot of fun.
Okay, thank you for this answer. Okay, let me check one thing. Okay, everything off. Okay, everything is fine. Okay. So the third question. It's kind of classic default question. So what is your favorite champion? Maybe you have a particular champion for particular map, or maybe you have 3 champions for a particular favorite map. So something like that.
Well, my favorite champion is Sorlag. Mostly because of her movement, but sadly it's been quite a while since she was in the meta, and she's still not. I wouldn't say that she is a good pick at the moment, either for duel or for any other mode. She's a lot of fun to play. I love her movement, especially because it's you know, CPM movement, and you know, it is fast, it is fun. You can turn around corners fast with her. You can gain a lot of speed, have a lot of momentum. It is so much fun to play with her, but sadly she is not really a good pick in Quake Champions right at this moment. She used to be, and at the time when she was, I picked her every time I could, and it was a lot of fun to play with her because you know, you can like rocket jump, gain a lot of speed, wall jump with the rocket and gain a lot of speed, go through teleporters, and it's just like flying through the map with a lot of speed. And then meanwhile you also have to pay attention for your opponent and fight with him, and it was just like a different kind of play style that I used to have back then, as well, as I mentioned before, and I just loved playing like that because it was so much like action-packed, so action-packed. It was a lot of fun. Nowadays, as the game slowed down, and you know, the visor meta came in, and it's all about hiding and camping around corners, it is not as enjoyable for me. I much prefer Sorlag and playing Sorlag and Anarchy. Sadly, it's not really worth it right now. But yeah, my favorite champion is definitely Sorlag. I also very much like Anarchy, and Anarchy is kind of viable at the moment, actually. I haven't really played the newest patch as much yet, so that I can definitely tell if it's worth picking him or not. I will grind the game a little bit more this week to prepare more for DreamHack Winter, and then I'll see if I'll play him or not. I don't think Sorlag is good at the moment. She is just too easy to hit, and she gets stuck in almost everything around the map because of her huge hitbox, so it is really hard to play her.
So you consider that in terms of Sorlag, they should reconsider in the next patches, maybe reducing the hitboxes, or maybe increasing the power of her, maybe the skill. Something.
Yeah, well, for Sorlag to become more viable as a champion at the moment, I think they only need to reduce her hitbox a little bit, because everything else seems to be fine. Her movements feels good, her speed is nice, like it's not instantaneously fast, but it builds up, so if you know where your opponent is and you can like go around that way, by the time you face him you're gonna have a lot of momentum. So you can play her and she can be good. But the only problem is that she is so easy to hit, and also because she's like a huge champion size-wise, she gets stuck in doorways, teleporters, archways, sometimes even the ceiling if it's too low and you are coming down from the stairs or something. So all that momentum that would make her a good champion is kind of lost because of her size.
Okay, thank you. The next question, do you watch other players' games while you're at the tournament? So you have your pause, you are not playing right now. Do you watch them?
Yeah, whenever I can, in between my matches, if it's like not at the same time with other matches, like for example, they only play one match at a time on the stage or something like that, and there is no backstage where you have to play the rest of the matches off stream. And I have the chance to watch matches, I do, yes. And I don't really try to analyze my opponents, but I just want to see like some of them, like some parts of the way they play, like what picks they like, what maps they like to play on, what positions they like to take. But you know, that's not really analyzing. It's like it just comes naturally because you see the match, so you can obviously all of a sudden just tell these things without thinking too much into it. But analyzing the match during the tournament, I don't really think it's a good idea, at least not for me, because everyone plays differently against each opponent they have. At least they mix it up a little, at the very least. So even if a certain player plays this way against that man, that player thingy, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's gonna do the same when he faces me. So analyzing their play style or things like that is just not worth it. I rather pay attention to, as I said, what champions they play, what positions they like to take, what maps they prefer, because that way I can prepare a little bit better when I'm gonna face against them. Like I will be able to know what to expect from them. For example, during the map picking process, what they will ban, what they will pick, stuff like that. And that's a lot of, like, it doesn't really mean much. You're not gonna win the match just because you're playing on your favorite map. But if you can like expect some outcome from them, you can prepare a little bit more, because you can ignore the rest of the maps for the most part. For example, if I know for a fact that he is gonna play like Sarnet against me, then I can already start to think about how I'm gonna play the map, what champions I'm gonna pick, and just prepare a little bit in the head for that. But I'm also not the kind of player who thinks too much into things, especially not during a tournament. I also don't really like to warm up too much. Like, for example, before an event, I will grind the game. I will play as much as I can and learn everything about it, especially if there was a patch that changed a lot of the things about the game, and prepare properly. But when the tournament comes, I don't really like to set up my PC and play during the tournament, at the warm up area or whatever, or in between matches. I'm not really gonna play. I'm just gonna set up my gear, test if everything is fine, like go around against bots and see if all my key bindings work, and is my sensitivity right, am I sitting in a comfortable way, stuff like that. I will set up that thing, but I won't really grind the game in between matches. I'm not gonna ask another player to, okay, practice with me, warm me up for my next match that is gonna be in half an hour, because I often realize that after I'm done playing like an online cup, or I'm at an event and I'm playing, once I'm done with like 2 to 3 matches, I can feel how exhausted I get, because it requires a lot of energy on this level to play the game for many hours. Even if it's like 2 to 3 matches, they are mostly like best of 3s, so they can last long. So it requires a lot of time, and throughout that time you put a lot of energy into it, and that takes out a lot from you. So by the end of it, you're gonna be exhausted. At least I am. So I don't like to overplay the game, because it just burns me out. What I like to do is to properly prepare before the event, and at the event just be at the right mindset, because I know I prepared myself enough. I'm in a good shape. I just need to be mentally strong. So for example, if things don't go in my favor, I don't want to end up being tilted or get angry or out of focus, because I know that I'm gonna be able to rely on my practice, so that I'm gonna be in a good shape. I'm gonna hit. I'm gonna have a good aim, I mean, and that in general I have a really good awareness of how to play the game and all that. So the remaining part is like timing, positioning, reading your opponent. If things don't go your way and you're unlucky, don't focus on it. Let go of it immediately after it happens and just focus on the next thing. Like if you die, let go of that champion and just focus on the next one. If the round is over and you lost it, don't dwell on it. Focus on the next round, how to win it, what champions to pick first, how to get into the next round. So as I said, I don't really want to overplay the game, but I want to be in the right mindset when I'm at a tournament, or even if it's online. When I'm competing, I mostly just want to be in the right mindset, because that is like half of the thing. Like it's 50% or.
Okay, well, yeah, I understand that if you're tilted, that you just mess up everything. Okay, the next question. What is your favorite player to play with, and why?
Ooh, favorite player.
I
I
mean
don't really think I have one.
2-on-2 team deathmatch.
Oh, you meant as a teammate?
Yeah, as a teammate.
Ah, well, I have Silencep as a teammate. Before that, I had Sparty. Before that, I had FaZe. And that's all for like ever since I've been playing 2-on-2.
Okay.
I really like playing with Sparty. He is very funny and a really good friend. And we've been together as teammates for a long time before Silencer became my new teammate. We had issues inside the game because we weren't really in sync some of the times. It could have been my fault. I don't really know. It's just he was thinking in a certain way of how to approach the situations, and I was thinking in a different way. And in the end, it didn't really fit together, even though we tried to improve it and fix it and get better at it. But it just, I don't know, it didn't really happen. And because of we being out of sync, we couldn't get the most out of playing together. And so in the end, now I have Silencep as a teammate. We haven't really played enough yet, and especially now that the game has changed, we need to adapt and learn it all over again. Like, not the basics, but like which champions to play and how to play them. And now that the abilities are nerfed, we have to rely a lot more on the other aspects of the game. And like, you know, just we need to just adjust and learn the game again and adapt to it and get really good at it. And we haven't really played enough yet. Like, we've been practicing for a week now, but other teams have been together for longer, and so we haven't really, you know, figured each other out yet that much. And on top of that, now we have to deal with adapting to the new meta as well. So it's been going a little bit slow. We are good. I feel good with having Silencep as my teammate, but we need to play a lot to be at the top of like the team, like being one of the top teams. This week we're gonna practice a lot. We are very much booked for practicing. I hope we can get a lot out of the practice matches, and by the time the event comes, we're gonna be prepared to reach a really good placement.
Okay.
He's a good teammate. Like I can tell that, you know, he's a very strong TDM player. What I already can tell with playing with him is that he is very good at being there to support me in fights. So when he sees that I'm engaging, or when I'm telling him that, oh, there's this opponent, I'm gonna go aggressive and try to kill him and have a fight, he's there to back me up. So it's not a one-on-one fight or a two-on-one in their favor. He's always there with me. So we are always together when we are fighting, and that's a lot of help, because in the past I've found myself in situations where I made my opponents low, even if it was 1-on-1 versus 2. I made both of them low HP, but my teammate wasn't there to finish them off, and they just stacked up on items, and then so basically they got away with the free frag. That might have been my fault because I was overly aggressive and just gave them a free point. But on the other hand, if my teammate was there with me that time, then even if I die, they were both low, so my teammate could have finished both of them off, and then it would have been a 2-to-1 favor, two frag versus 1 frag in our favor. So we would have been coming out better out of the situation. But you know, that wasn't really the case before. Nowadays, it's more likely the case like that, having Silencep by my side. But as I said, we still need to improve on a lot of things to get better.
Okay, well, it just comes with time together.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I had the question about the favorite opponent to play against. Do you have one in particular? Or maybe several?
Like in 2-on-2 or duel or
no,
both?
Duels. Maybe
Duels.
Both. If you have on 2-on-2, of course, we would like just know.
Well, 2-on-2s, not really. In duel, favorite opponent to play against. I don't know, but I kind of have a least favorite, I guess.
Okay.
And I can tell that instead, if that's okay, because I don't really have favorite players to play against. But I can tell that I really dislike playing against Wenger, especially lately.
Okay.
I really like him. He's a really good guy and he's an awesome player. But I struggle against him lately, especially against his clutch. And I'm known for being a really good and strong clutch player. But he's the better one.
Oh, okay.
and so I struggle playing against him. I guess I have some kind of a mental block lately, because I used to win against him every single time we met in a tournament for like 13, 14 times in a row, and then ever since then he just won once, and then I never won since, and that was like 5 times before, like 5 times ago that we faced each other in a tournament. And so last 5 times he won against me, and I think I kind of have an idea of how to approach him next time, but I don't know, I just feel very uncomfortable playing against him.
So you
doesn't mean I don't like the guy. Just wanna state that fact. I'm actually very good friends with him. It's just I don't like playing against him competitively.
Okay, you just when you're playing the Quake Champions and you see Wenger, oh my god, no. I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling sick already. Okay.
Yeah, I struggle against him.
Okay, let me see what I have more to ask. Well, yeah. Another question. Do you feel like the aim doesn't really matter when you are playing at the top level of gaming, at the pro level of Quake? So it is more about the mental games and tactics and strategy and the choice of champions, etc.
It depends on a lot of things, but in general, aim matters a lot, but it's not the most important aspect of the game. A lot of players rely on having a really strong aim. For example, Claus and Toxic is known, and Sirius as well. They 3 are probably the best aimers in the pro scene right now. And I would say they rely a lot on their aim, and if they weren't hitting as hard as they do, they would play worse because they depend on it more than other players. So, for example, Rafa he has a really strong aim, but he doesn't depend on it. He can make up for not being the best aimer by having really good positioning, or having really good item control, or reading their opponents, his opponents. So aim is very important, and a lot of players are depending on it, not necessarily on just on the aim, but they rely on it a lot more than other players. And if they didn't have that high level of aim, they would struggle a lot more. But aim is not the most important aspect of the game. It's just a very big chunk of it. But if you can master the rest of the game, like good positioning, good item control, reading your opponent, playing the champions to their best potential, using the right weapon in the right time for the right situation, moving around the map, having a good movement, not messing up your movement is what I'm trying to say. All those things combined, then you are gonna be very, very strong. And on top of that, if you have good aim, then it's even better. But you don't necessarily rely on it as much as other players do, with weaker positioning or whatever.
Okay, I understand. Okay, next question. Actually, can you please describe your first time meeting with Quake? What part of it was it? When was it? And what have you thought about it?
Okay. I have told this story a few times already, but I'll gladly tell it again, of course. I'm just, you know, some people might have heard it already, so bear with me. I have to repeat myself. It's fine. So I was like 5 to 6 years old when I first met Quake 3 Arena, and I was playing on my father's PC, and we didn't have internet back then, so I was just playing against bots. But I had a lot of fun playing it. You know, it was action-packed, all kinds of weapons, and I liked the characters in it as well. And also, you know, like gibs, when you shoot a rocket at them and they explode into chunks of meat, and it's bloody and gory, and it is a lot of fun when you're a kid, you know. So I played it a lot against bots, and I had a lot of fun. I like the campaign mode. It's not really a campaign mode, but it is, you know, a single player mode for it. And my goal as a kid was to complete it on the hardest difficulty. And you know, because of that I was playing it a lot, and I learned the game. But you know, I never really tried anything more than that, because as I said, we didn't have internet and I was a little kid. But when Quake Live came out, I started playing it. Although at the time I was competitively playing Counter-Strike, so I wasn't taking Quake Live seriously. Like, I didn't try to compete in it and you know, become someone in it. I was just playing it for fun as a hobby, because in the meantime I was competing in CS. But then, you know, a few years go by and CS isn't really working out for me, and Quake Champions comes out. So I try it and I start playing it, and I get matched up against really good players, like very known names and professional players, and I actually play really good matches against them. And all of a sudden I'm like questioning, what does that mean? Does that mean that this game is like so different that these pros that have been playing Quake for many years now are struggling with it, or does that mean that I'm actually quite decent in the game, at the game? And it was both. I was actually good, but at the same time, this was a new game with a new approach to FPS, arena shooter style, whatever it's called. So, you know, I started learning it, so did the other players, and I started to improve myself and learn certain things about the game, and learn the champions and how to use their ability to the best, to their best potential. And as I was doing that, I was struggling with CS, so I really wanted to be successful in esports. That's why I was playing CS competitively for many years, but I couldn't really achieve it before. So when Quake Champions came out and I started playing it competitively, like in the beginning there were the 125 FPS cups and the ESL ladder for duel. I was playing it a lot, grinding it as much as I could, and I realized that I have a really good chance in Quake if I keep at it and keep practicing and improving myself. And so I stopped practicing CS, and I started playing the qualifiers for last year's QuakeCon, and I actually managed to qualify myself. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be like a test run for me. Let's see how well I can play this, how much I can get out of this tournament, how far I can get in this game. And if it goes well, I'm gonna leave CS behind and start playing only Quake Champions competitively and only focus on this game and never look back at CS. And that's what happened basically. I played well at last year's QuakeCon, and I got signed for Myztro, and I left CS behind. And ever since then I'm playing Quake on a professional level.
Cool.
Sadly, CS didn't work out for me. And, you know, like, I tried really hard for many years, but I guess it wasn't meant to happen. So now I have Quake, and I'm happy with it. And I don't ever want to go back to CS. I really want Quake to become bigger than it is right now, and I just want to keep playing it and compete in it.
Okay, very nice story. Thank you. Okay, I have questions about the last patch, about the A's, and what do you feel about the last patch? What do you feel about Clutch in the last patch? And also, just to sum it up, what do you feel about the development of Quake Champions? Do you feel like it is going just in the wrong direction, or you just go with the flow with it, and you are okay with what's happening?
Okay. Well, the very last patch was a very big game changer, like one of the biggest changes the game received so far. Let's focus on the Clutch part at the moment. Clutch has been a very strong champion, probably the most OP champion for a very long time now. I think it started around like the beginning of the year. I don't exactly remember. Sometime around that, when Clutch became OP. He was already good at last year's DreamHack Winter. The Hang managed to win the tournament, and he was using Clutch. But then Clutch wasn't as strong as he is nowadays. I don't even remember if he had the drill back then or not. I don't know. But as I said, Clutch got buffed a lot. And now he is like the most OP champion ever since that buff. And it hasn't really been fixed yet, as in like balanced the proper way. People are struggling both with playing as Clutch and playing against Clutch. Both things are really difficult because because of the shield, basically, and because of Clutch's movement. The dashing. In general, Clutch is not really good unless you are fully aware how to play him, and you can actually pull it out, but pull it off. Whatever.
Maybe
okay.
pull it off. Okay.
So yeah, but like as what I'm trying to say is Clutch is really hard to play on the professional level. Because he is huge, he can be hit very easily, and if you don't have your shield, you're gonna be a free kill. And even if you have the shield, it doesn't necessarily grant you a kill. It is really hard to use the shield the right way. Especially like before this patch, you got like insta killed by Nyx's invis thingy or Ranger's dire orb telefragging. Or PJ could melt you with dual LG in like half a second, no matter how big your stack was. Now that the abilities got nerfed, Clutch became even bigger of a threat. But he also got nerfed in a way of he doesn't have that big of a stack anymore because it got reduced for every tanky champion, heavy champion. But also his shield. Downtime in between shots when you activate the shield got increased, so you are more vulnerable in between shots. So it's like he also like he got stronger because everyone else got nerfed, but at the same time he also got nerfed, so he isn't as strong, but he's still very strong. And if he's being used the right way, he can be the most OP champion in the game. So I would assume most people are gonna ban it against me in Zool, sadly.
So no more Clutch again?
Well, I haven't been playing Clutch for quite a while now, because ever since I was known for being a Clutch player, everybody has been banning it against me. Most people, at least. There have been occasions where people didn't ban it against me, like Cooler didn't do that. But I would say they shouldn't let me play Clutch, because Clutch is really strong and I can play him well. So if they want to win, they have better chances if they ban Clutch against me, but that's my opinion, and I don't know why I'm giving it away. But they can also win against me if I'm playing Clutch. You know, it just depends on how they play. So yeah, Clutch is really hard to play, and he is really OP. And I think the solution could be that instead of having a long time of the shield, like when you're using the ability, you are gonna have the shield for a long time. Instead of that, maybe they give the shield health, and so like I don't know, like 200 health or maybe 150. I don't know. They need to experiment with it if they wanna try it or to see what's the right value. But like maybe that way, Clutch wouldn't be that OP anymore because you can destroy the shield and then all of a sudden Clutch is vulnerable. I don't really know how to fix it. That's an idea, and a lot of people suggested it already. They haven't really tried it, the developers, to go in that direction. So I don't know if it would actually work out or not, but maybe that would be the right approach. I really don't know. Okay, so that's the Clutch part. The rest it was about the new patch and the new meta and the new pace of the game and all that. Well, is the game going the right direction? I don't know. It is certainly going a direction, and it's been a completely new one compared to the previous ones, because in the beginning Quake was all about movement, right? Anarchy and Solar, and the rest of the champions weren't as good as like the fast-paced characters. And then they slowed down the game. And then all of a sudden the fast-paced characters weren't so good anymore because they became slower and more easier to hit. So then the game was slow, and it was more about positioning and holding the ground and having good aim and all that. But now they nerfed the abilities a lot, so that means that movement is more important again, because if you get close to your opponent, there won't be like a dire orb that will kill you instantly unless you're very low on health, or there won't be a dual LG melting you in half a second. It will still be strong, but it won't be as strong. So you're not going to be so afraid to get close to your opponent. So if you're playing a high-speed champion, you can just run around the map and not be punished as much as before. So now the game pace is faster again, so champions like Slash, Anarchy, Athena, they are more viable than before. Medium champs are still good. Clash is still open. But the game changed again, and people need to learn how to play it and figure out what's the meta and what's the best game style to play it. Like, you know, before everyone was, like in the Anarchy and Solar meta, everyone was running around with high speed and everyone was just using LG and all that. Because that was the best way to play, because that was the most rewarding way to play the game. And then when they slowed down the game, everyone was playing Visor and using wallhack and camping around corners and pre-firing with the railgun when the wallhack was on. And so everyone played that way. And then they changed the game again. And so, you know, like it's kind of fresh that they changed the game last time. So I would say everyone is still trying to figure out how to approach it and what's the best way to play it. I'm also not really there yet, so I don't exactly know if it's more comfortable to play the game right now or not. It is different, that's for sure, and I can't really tell if it's the right direction they are going or not. What I would like them to do, though, is to fix other aspects of the game. Like, it's really great that the game is no longer all about abilities and all that, like before. But that's not the only issue that the game had. Like, for example, Desync and netcode and hit registering and all that is a lot more important, in my opinion, because what you see and what the server registers isn't in sync. So that's why you get hit through teleporters with a railgun, or around the corner, or behind cover, stuff like that. That happens because even though you think you are safe, the server has like a little bit of delay of catching up with what you see on your screen. So it's not in sync. So that's why things that shouldn't happen because what you see is not reliable information, not for the most part. Like, for the most part, yes, but there are times when you get hit around the corner with a railgun or through the teleporter when you already entered it, and you still die on the other end, and so it's like it's a little bit messy. It's unreliable, and I don't like it because it gives the game a random factor instead of being skillful. I would like them to optimize those things. I don't know if they can do that because I've heard, and I'm no expert, so I don't really know how it works. But I've heard that it goes down to the core of the game, the engine, and that they would either need to like change it, use a different one, or like build it up from the bottom again. Or I really don't know how it works. So I don't really want to lecture anyone about it because I have no idea what I'm talking about. I've heard this and that. And I experience like desync and rubber banding and heat drag issues. So when I'm competing, I don't want to lose my match because of these things. If I die because I get railed through the teleporter, that is more frustrating than anything else in the game, because that is something I cannot control, and it is not because I don't die because I played wrong. I made a wrong decision or whatever, or I messed up my movement, or I don't know. I died because the game was unreliable at that moment, and I was just unlucky that it went in the favor of my opponent. And I don't like that because it is random, it's not skillful. So those things I would like them to fix instead of trying to balance the game more and focus on game modes and weapon skins and stuff like that. I know that it's a different department of the game, like not the same people are working on skins like on optimizing things like that, but I would like them to focus more on those things instead of others. Also, I mentioned before, like not in this interview, but like before openly, so people are aware that I have this opinion, like some people at least, that I would like them to rework some of the maps, because the maps are also not very optimized for competitive play. What I mean by that is that, for example, on Corrupted Keep at Heavy, there are holes in the ground, and in the heap of the fight, you're gonna use a rocket launcher and accidentally shoot through those holes and deal 0 damage to your opponent. And if those holes weren't there, the rocket would blow up right below his feet, and it would grant you the kill, for example. But because of those holes, and you can't really like aim that well. It's like in the heap of the moment that one pixel depends the fight. Like not depends. Like decides the fight. And so I don't like that, because for example at this Italian event, when Kilsen was playing against Rafa, Kilsen was winning a fight, and it was at that map and on that position, and Kilsen shot a rocket right below Rafa's feet, but it went through the floor and didn't kill Rafa, although he was low on health, and then Rafa killed Kilsen in return. And I just don't like that. It shouldn't have gone that way. Kilsen should have earned that frag. He worked for it, he was doing the right thing, and then all of a sudden, because the map was designed in a certain way, he was unlucky and he lost. And I just don't like that. And also, that's one of the aspects of how to rework the map, like remove those holes, like fill up the gaps, or just make an invisible wall that you cannot shoot through, even if the holes are there for like visual reasons or whatever. So that's one thing. But then the other things is you get stuck in a lot of things. Most commonly, you get stuck in stairs, like in between the steps. You just cannot go up the stairs. As you are going up the stairs, you're just in between two steps, you get stuck and you cannot move upwards anymore. That's annoying. That's really annoying, because that's again something that shouldn't be in the game, shouldn't work that way in the game, but it does, and it has been for ever since the game is out. And it is very annoying because you mess up your movement because of that, and it's not your fault, and it doesn't happen always. It's not something you can control or reproduce on purpose. Sometimes it happens, other times it doesn't. I don't like it. It's inconsistent, and it shouldn't be in like a thing to begin with, you getting stuck. while walking up the stairs. It shouldn't happen. So I would like them to fix those things. Other thing that they maybe should do is that in previous Quakes, when you were walking down the stairs, you didn't make footsteps. But in Quake Champions, you do. When you are walking up the stairs, you don't make any footsteps. But when you're going downward, you are making footsteps noises, even if you're walking. And because of that, on Blood Run at the moment, you can play passively, just hiding in the nail gun room, because there are only 3 entrances to the nail gun room, and 2 of those entrances include a noise that your opponent has to make in order to enter the room. So if you are just hearing, like paying attention to those noises and looking to the 3rd way, then you're not gonna be caught off guard, because if he comes from LG jump pad, you will hear the jump pad. If he comes from the shotgun hallway, you will hear him going down the steps right before he enters nail gun room. So you will hear that too. So you don't really have to look that way, because you can hear if he comes from there. You can just look the 3rd way, which is from the upper teleport exit, because he can walk up the stairs from Tribolt and enter the nail gun area there from there without making any sound. So 2 of the 3 options will give away with a sound that you're coming, that your opponent is coming. So you only need to look towards the 3rd way. And so there's no way for your opponent to surprise you, because you will be aware that he'll come. So, you know, if they rework those things, walking up and down the stairs without making a sound and without getting stuck, then you will no longer be able to hide in the nail gun room that safely. It will still be a thing, but it wouldn't be as safe anymore. It would be more riskier, and you would have to look around more and be more cautious and careful, and you will be more on, like, more stressed, more panicking about oh, maybe if I'm looking around away, he will come at the wrong moment and then I will be caught off guard or something like that. You know, it would add more to the game's risky factor. That if you're gonna play passive, you're gonna have to play well, do it well, otherwise you can be punished more easily. So, you know, those things, I would like them to rework those things, because they take away a lot from the game in a way of how to play it skillfully and how random it is. Like how much you can rely on your skill is what I'm trying to say. Because those things you cannot control, but yet they happen quite often, and they can decide the match, and that's just not good when you're playing the game competitively.
Okay, but you have mentioned those unfair moments about the hit registration while you have entered the portal and you're already dead or something like that. Does it happen as harsh at the offline tournaments, offline games, as in the online duels or something like that? Or any games?
Yeah, well,
or it is a better situation.
The problem with the game is that even if you're playing it offline, it's still not like the server is still not in sync with your client side. So even if you're offline, there's a small delay between what you do and then what the server registers. So those things still happen offline as well, getting railed through the teleporter, for example, or you being you are playing Nyx and you have the ability and you're fighting and you want to save it for the last second, and so right before the rocket would hit you, you go invis and you hear the invis, but like you hear the sound effect for you going invis, but the rocket hits you still, even though on your end you went invis way before the rocket was near you. But then the server takes some time to process that you actually wanted to go invis, and by then the rocket already hit you. So what the server registers is that the rocket hit you, you died, and then when you respawn in TDM, for example, as Nyx, you're still gonna have your ability, even though you clearly heard it being used before you died. You know, that's also has to do something with this out of sync issue between you and the server. So yes, those things still happen offline at events as well, but not as badly and not as often, just because you have a better connection. Like, the higher your ping is, the worse it gets. But even if your ping is low, the game to its core is like that, so it will still happen offline as well, sadly.
Okay. Well, it's a quite sad situation with Quake, and I think we have the last bonus question just for funsies.
Okay.
What do you think about the Hunter skin from Quake 3? In your opinion, do you think that it is even possible to exist this kind of sexy set in the Quake Champions, in the real life, in real times, when the characters are just not the same as they were in the 90s?
Well, a lot of people won't agree with me, but I would say it's a video game, so have it the way you want to. It doesn't matter. If the character is half nude, let it be, whatever. I wouldn't mind it. It doesn't really matter. If people want Hunter back, and they do, obviously, they like the character from Quake 3, I would be happy with new champions as well. And I think there was some leaked footage, or not footage, but like files, like a screenshot of files that she is already getting implemented into the game.
Yeah, right.
I would assume that they will make her skin the way it was in Quake 3. In Quake Champions, there are different skins you can choose for your champion, and then there's the lore skin as well. So there's a good chance that the original skin is gonna be amongst those skins, one way or another. I would actually prefer if they made the original skin, just because that's what people used to. That's why they liked Hunter. That's why they want her back. You know, like what I don't like, for example, about Anarchy, and I know that Quake Champions is a prequel to Quake 3 Arena. So like Quake 3 Arena happens after Quake Champions in the timeline, as much as I'm aware of it. At least I haven't really dug into the lore of it, but that's what I know, heard, whatever. So like what I don't like about Anarchy in Quake Champions is that he's not mute. His mouth is not all together. You know, because in Quake 3 Arena, that's what we loved about Anarchy, that he was humming all the time. Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I don't like about Anarchy. So I would actually prefer if they would stay true to the original way, how they made Hunter look like and sound like, and you know. So I would actually like if she was implemented in the game and the way she was like in Quake 3.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I am really looking forward for this champion, because she was one of my favorite champions while I was playing it back in the 90s. So yeah, and I expected her to be just like that. And maybe the Harpy skin. Harpy skin, it was the lacquer one. So Raisy.
Yeah, but like, sorry, just one more thing. Even though I would like it that way, and apparently you as well, a lot of people would freak out about it for no reason. Like, I don't know, like nowadays I don't really get people. Like, why is it such a big deal for them to, so that like nudity and stuff like that in video games? They are video games. Doesn't matter. Why freak out about it?
Yeah.
Yet they do. So I get why like some people would be concerned about if they should implement it or not. Is it a good idea, or would it backfire? But it's just a video game, it's just a skin. Whatever, just enjoy it instead of freaking out about it.
Right, yeah, I agree with you. Just in some kind of crazy times. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
We had Adrián, Raisy, Birgány. We had amazing interview. Thanks a lot for all your answers. I actually didn't expect that you would spend so much time for this interview. Thank you very much for your humble opinions. And yeah, so I think that's it. I will stop recording now.
All right, thank you very much, and goodbye, everyone.
Okay, bye bye.